Raise your hand if you're on a low carb diet or a carnivore diet and you're not losing weight. I actually lost weight pretty consistently on a carnivore diet, probably about like 5 pounds a month. But then like in the last month, it's just kind of like, nope, pass. It's not working anymore. It's like the little mechanism just turned off. So yeah, we're gonna have Dr. Tony Hampton tell us why that's happening. I'm pretty excited. He cracks me up, and there's good stuff all the way to the end. So I got my little notes here. Let's let the man speak.
Let's talk about the real reason your carnivore diet isn't working yet. It's not because ribeye is bad for you. It's not because you need more fiber. It's not even because you're not strict enough. It's because you didn't lower insulin enough. Not carb insulin. You traded bread for brisket. But you kept doing the little things that whispered to your pancreas all day long. The coffee with cream at 6 a.m. The second coffee with heavy cream at 9 a.m. And cheese doesn't count at 10 a.m. Bone broth at 1. A few slices of salami at 3. A keto treat at 5. And then dinner at 7 p.m. You're technically carnivore, but metabolically you're grazing. And a grazing human is an insulin-leaking human. Let me put my doctor hat on for a second. Here's the metabolism. Insulin is your storage hormone. When it's high, you store. When it's low, you burn. That's the whole movie. On a carnivore diet, carbs are down. Beautiful. But insulin doesn't respond only to carbs. It also responds to how often you eat, what proteins you eat, what kind of fat you pair it with, and even to tasty signals.
Okay, first of all, that part where he says that's the whole movie.
Insulin is your storage hormone. When it's high, you store. When it's low, you burn. That's the whole movie.
I swear, I am like, I preach that every time people are like, oh, you've been losing weight? How's that going? Like tell me about it. I'm just like, well, let me tell you about insulin, you know? And yeah, you get it down to like that one sentence is très magnificent. Magnificent? That's what you were going to say? That's what we're going to say. So anyway, let me repeat what he just said, because there was a few parts that I think we can make a little bit more concise. So we know that insulin traps fat. Okay, so if you are releasing insulin, you're not releasing fat. Like these wings, they're not going away if I keep insulin flowing all the time through my body. So then the question is, what raises insulin? What am I doing that is keeping my insulin high? Well, it's about what you eat. If you're eating carbohydrates, your insulin is going to be high. It releases a lot of insulin. If you're eating protein, it's going to release insulin, but more normal levels of insulin. So it's not nothing, but it's definitely releasing some insulin. If you're eating fat, like just straight hunks of fat, I know some of y'all are doing it. Oh goodness, I know some of y'all are just eating beef fat. Anyway, if you guys are eating just fat, that's not going to be releasing any real noticeable amount of insulin. It's like very, 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 very low levels. The important part of fat, where fat comes into the equation, is that fat makes it take longer for you to digest food. Okay, so let's put these pieces together. You start your day, you're like, hey, I'm going to be a real carnivore. I'm going to eat, 2 pounds of ribeye and 17 eggs. Okay, that's extreme, but I feel like some of these men's be eating that many eggs. Let's just say you ate a ribeye, okay? So you eat a ribeye for breakfast. Now this is protein and fat together. It's not like a piece of chicken breast, which is pretty much just protein. It's going to be, beef and beef fat, all right? Now, the protein is going to cause that insulin to release. It'll be normal levels, but it'll cause that insulin to release. The fat is going to extend how long the food's digested, aka it's going to extend how long that insulin is released for, okay? So it just sort of draws the process out longer. Now, where the problem happens is that we want to release fat. So we want to stop the insulin being released. We want that curve to just be done and be over. We want that spike of insulin to just end and be done, go away. But if you grab a snack before your body's done digesting, if you're drinking a cup of heavy cream before that steak is fully processed, you're throwing more insulin triggering foods on top of the insulin that's already being released. So there's no break point. Your body needs a break. It needs that insulin to come down and pause in order for it to start saying, okay, we've stopped releasing insulin. We can start releasing fat. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I got a little excited with my examples. Got a little carried away. But I'm hoping that makes sense because that's the primer for what is coming next, which is like what the problem is for a lot of people who are not losing weight. Let me let the man speak.
Let's go deeper because you know I'm a root cause guy. Most people doing carnivore come in already insulin resistant, prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, PCOS, hypertension, belly fat, and that I gained 3 pounds just thinking about Thanksgiving. Insulin resistance means your cells don't respond well to insulin. So the pancreas makes more and more and more. You can lower carbs and still have high insulin because your body is trying to push nutrients into resistant cells. So if you start carnivore with high insulin and then feed your body all day, even with low carb, animal-based foods, you may not get the drop you expected. You have carnivore foods, but not a carnivore hormonal pattern. That's why someone else can eat 2 pounds of beef and drop 15 pounds in a month. And you eat like a little lion and your body says, cute, I'll keep all of it. Because it's not just what you eat, it's when, how often, and in what metabolic context.
Cute. I'll keep all of it. I just love it so much. Okay, insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, oh man, you know, it is just hard for my brain to like wrap itself around what on earth is happening in your body. Like, what is insulin resistance? I don't know why it's so difficult of like a topic for me to understand, but I literally sat there for like an hour and a half just like, okay, it's this, and then does that, and that does that, and this, and how do I simplify this? How do I get my brain to understand it? How do I get it into the brain cells, the little gray cells? They need it. Here's what I think is going on, okay? This is what I've come to. So, here's the deal. Insulin delivers nutrients to your cells. So it like takes the nutrients from the food and the stuff, and it says, here it is, cells, and the cells are like, oh, thank you. But if the insulin is too high for too long, the cells are going to pop on some noise canceling headphones and be like, I don't even hear you at the door. Like, I just don't want it. I'm going to be resistant to you showing up. Okay, I'm just going to say no. Now, your pancreas, which is the organ that releases the insulin, it's like, oh, it's going to pop on its noise canceling headphones. Well, I'm just going to crank the volume to a freaking 11, bro. So it starts making your normal releasing of insulin levels. It's going to move normal to high normal. Well, it's going to make high its new normal. There we go. So it's going to make high the new normal. And anytime you trigger an insulin release, you're triggering a high insulin release. Insulin resistant people are going to need to work extra hard so that they keep their insulin levels as low as possible. They need to take more care in terms of what they eat, bringing in low insulin triggering foods, so not chilling in carb land, chilling more in protein and fat land, so that when we bring it in, we're not creating more insulin than it's already being created, which is already too high. Does that make sense? It's like, if you're insulin resistant, your body is saying, no, I don't like the insulin. Your pancreas is saying, well, then I'm going to give you way more. And you have to say, well, I'll give you only foods that trigger low levels since you're going to be cranking it to 11 anyway. And hopefully that'll cut down the amount of insulin running through my system low enough that we can finally release some fat. Again, I don't know what it is about today, but I'm getting all over in my examples. I hope you guys are tracking with me. Or man, this is going to be a roller coaster of confusion. Let's let the man speak again.
Let's talk about the holy trinity of why this is stalling me.
Okay. This part I'm actually going to skip over. The thing is, if you think that dairy or snacking might be the reason that you're you're not able to lose weight, then you should go and watch his video. Like don't pass go, don't keep watching mine. It's okay. I will give up my watch hours for this man's little talk on what you can do to find out if dairy or snacking really is what's stopping your weight loss, because I think it's important. And he's going to go through an experiment that you can do for a 3-week period. I actually am going to do the experiment myself, even though I am pretty sure it's just snacking. Like he was talking about cheese and I was thinking about pork rinds. Okay. Like, I'm pretty sure snacking is my problem. But if you're like, I think it's dairy or I think it's snacking, go to his video and watch this section where he goes through the experiment you can run. I think it's super valuable. I do a lot of this experimentation and I've made most of my progress because I was like, okay, I'll take 3 weeks and try different things. And if you are saying, oh, but Ariel, it's another link and I've got to go there and it's so much work, I have put the video in the description and all you need to do is go to the timestamp 4 minutes and 28 seconds, okay? And he will go into the experiment and you should do it because, I mean, why be miserable if you don't have to be miserable? Like, if 3 weeks of doing an experiment helps you move forward towards your goals, like, do the 3 weeks. You know what I mean? He knows what I mean. You guys know what I mean. Let's stop talking about what I mean.
Some of you are going to discover, oh, wow, it was the cream. Some of you, it was the cheese. Some of you, I was eating 5 times a day and calling it carnivore. And a handful of you will say, even with that, I didn't move. Those folks need to go deeper. Stress, cortisol, thyroid, perimenopause or menopause, sleep apnea, meds, past dieting history, because bioindividuality is real. Let me say that again so the internet hears it. Carnivore is powerful, but you are still an individual. Genetics, hormones, age, sex, how broken the metabolism was, how long you were inflamed, how much visceral fat you have. These all change how fast you respond.
Dude, I love that. I'm going to say it so the internet can hear me because I mean, I get it. When I started carnivore, it's like, oh, it's a magic pill. But then things still break or they don't work as well or you still have some of the same problems. You know, your hair didn't grow back in the way you thought it was going to grow back, or I don't know, whatever. You guys don't need more examples. The thing is, it can feel like from the community, it can be like, oh, it's going to work on everything. And the reality is your body is so much more complicated than that. And I just love that he pointed that out. That's so valuable. But the next bit he talks about, I think, is even more valuable. I would say this is the part that I was like, why didn't I put this together? I'm 35 years old and I didn't put this together. What? Why?
So don't quit carnivore when the truth is you just needed to quit snacking. Another piece people miss, insulin is not just food. Chronically high cortisol from stress and bad sleep can keep glucose up and insulin up. So if you're eating ribeye but sleeping 4 hours and arguing with your boss and scrolling TikTok till midnight, your pancreas is like, we're doing this again? Part of lowering insulin is lowering the body's perception of threat. That's why I teach nest and rope.
Dude, say it again. Say it again.
Part of lowering insulin is lowering the body's perception of threat.
That's so awesome. Like, and it makes so much sense. And I'm not coming from a doctor's perspective. I'm coming from like a philosophical, like, let's just make it a thought experiment. It makes a lot of sense that your insulin would be acting as kind of a protector in a way. Like, think about this. Why would your body want to store excess fat? Well, it would store fat because it's an energy source that it can pull from. So if you're starving, you're going to die, you're in danger. It's like, yo, don't worry, I got food stores. Okay, so it's protecting you by putting on fat. In the modern day sense, if you're stressed, you know, that looks like you've got problems at work or you've got problems at home. But your brain, your body, it's still primal. So, you know, it doesn't know, like your ancestors, okay, they weren't afraid if Kathy in the cubicle next door was going to post something weird about you on Facebook and you were going to lose your job. But they were worried if Kathy in the next tribe was going to come, take all your resources, burn down your house, and leave you stranded in the middle of a forest. Your body and your brain don't realize these aren't the same thing. They just think Kathy's dangerous. You know, so those work situations that are stressing you out, they're causing your body to say, we're in danger. Keep that fat on, okay? Keep that insulin going. It's like not getting enough sleep, he says. Duh, sleep. You don't sleep if you're in danger, okay? You're not calm if you're in danger. I mean, maybe Maybe if you're high or something. But like, you really shouldn't be calm if you're in danger. If you're able to sleep the entire night, that's good. Your body can calm down and it can say, hey, we're not going to starve anytime soon. We've got a nice place to sleep. Let's let the fat go down, you know? If you're not scrolling on your phone, throwing off your sleep patterns, worried about what's happening in the next country over, you can calm down. Your body can say, hey, let that fat go. We're not going to die today. You know? So this is my biggest takeaway. I think it is so powerful, so good. I'm so glad he included it. Yeah. That's really all I got. The rest of the video is good. I really do recommend going to watch the video. It's really quick. We went through the first half together, so you can just watch the second half on your own in your lonesome, or not in your lonesome. You can watch it with family and friends. You know, you don't need to be alone while watching Tony Hampton. Don't make it weird. Okay, I need to go. I don't know what I'm on today, but it's making me overspeak. So I will talk to you guys later. I hope you have a good day. If it's not good, I hope it's good enough. And see you around.